demonic horrors that lurk in the darkness, demons that hate, that feed upon mankind. There was a time when humans lived in fear of these fiends from the shadows, when mankind received a ray of hope that was the Makai Knights, the demon hunters, the protectors of mankind. Thus, they were exalted by humanity. Hello and welcome. I'm Hi-C, and this is Toku-Rev, your introduction to Tokusatsu moving TV shows to help you decide what you want to spend your time watching. Welcome back to the spooky season. Last October, I did an episode on the first series in the Garo franchise, named Chapter of the Black Wolf. And now I'm welcoming the darkness back into my life with the made-for-TV special, Garo, Beast of the Demon Knight. The first season of Garo had me a little mixed in the beginning. In the end, I loved it, but it took a little bit of time for it to grow on me. A lot of the early episodes were episodic in a way that made it feel like a horror anthology series. I enjoyed this aspect, but the world felt deep enough that I was really disappointed when the story didn't dig in and reflect the world. Just a series of formula-laid plots. But once I got past the midway point, the show opened up and I couldn't stop watching it, falling in love with the dark, twisted Garo. Beast of the Demon Knight is kind of a welcoming back to the Garo universe, releasing on the 15th of December in 2006 as a two-part special miniseries featuring 50-minute episodes. We are reintroduced to Koga when he comes upon Lin, a young Makai priestess in training who uses herself as demon bait in order to send a message to Koga. Koga takes her into his home, where she tries to prove her powers but ends up damaging a picture that was gifted to him from Karu. Koga is upset but allows Lin to summon Amon, the Makai priest who lost his life in the first series, reminding him he still has a game to finish. Amon asks for help. Koga learns that Jabi, Koga's friend and Mon's daughter, thought to have been killed in the first series, is still alive. Her body's intact and residing inside the Makai tree in the Makai realm. Koga feels a sense of duty to restore her to the world of the living.
Koga. これが肉体を失った者の姿だ。だが、ジャビはまだ生きておる。
Jumping over to everyone's favorite cold-hearted rebel, Lee, or Zero. Catching up on some good fight scenes, he's ordered to head over to Kantai, where the ritual of the Midnight Sun is performed to ensure that everything goes normally. Of course, this happens to be the same destination that Lin and Koga are traveling to. Koga finds himself in an altercation between two disciples who he easily bests until their master Tsubasa shows up. Tsubasa is a spear-wielding Makai Knight who does not appreciate Koga entering his territory. He does a lot to remind me of Koga, strict and by the book, bound by honor and tradition, disregarding his emotions as a weakness. Unlike Koga, he has trained most of his life in seclusion. He doesn't engage in modern society and confines himself in older traditions and settings. Tsubasa transforms by making a small circle with his spear above his head, transforming him into Dan, the Midnight Sun Knight. Out of all the Makai Knights I've seen so far, Dan of the Midnight Sun is probably my favorite. There is something more refined in his design. A smoother all-white appearance with ornate designs and a little bit of gold and red accents. There is less detail in the face mask, and this really pushes Tsubasa's background. It seems less like a fierce knight and more like a strict spiritual tradition of his home. In other words, I like it. The fight ends with Koga gaining passage and refuge in Kantai. Tsubasa is critical of Koga and upset with Lin for involving him. Koga enters the Makai realm to save Jabi, and Lin must keep the portal open or Koga will be trapped inside. Tsubasa's disciples are attacked and quickly overwhelmed when Lee comes to save them. Koga fights for Jabi's life as the Golden Knight Garo, and eventually saves her while Lin is exhausted and terrified from what she's had to endure. So now we have Jabi, a trained Makai priestess, Lin, a priestess in training, and the Makai Knights Koga, Lee, and Tsubasa. But a mysterious horror named Legolas has been converting horrors and killing hundreds of humans on his path to the ceremony of the Midnight Sun. And that's where I'll choose to stop my recap, so I don't spoil anything else. Switching to talking about production, I viewed Beast of the Demon Knight on a Blu-ray copy, link in the description. So I'm not sure what the quality of the original broadcast was in 2006, but the miniseries looks both amazing and cheap at the same time on Blu-ray. It's not like I'm not used to cheap special effects, especially from the Garo series. In my original Toku-Rev episode, I talked about how much I didn't like the CGI, and sure, that's still true here, but some of the particle effects and other magical effects bother me a little more here than they did in the original series. And there is a good chance that this is due to the higher resolution of the Blu-ray, but I found this a little distracting here and there. Not so much that I couldn't get used to it, and it did just blend into the style of the show after a while, but I felt like I had to mention it. When Koga is in the Makai world, it pretty much turns into a non-stop CGI battle. And just like the original series, this bothers me a lot less than when it's the actors interacting with CGI creatures. If a CGI monster fights a CGI knight, it's not a clash of visuals, and I can really get into it and enjoy it. Other than that, the fight choreography, locations, and costume designs are all as good as ever, and this seemed to have a slightly higher budget than the original show, making everything just a little bit better. So in the end, while I can say the particle effects bother me a little more, overall there are less moments that clash and take me out of the show, so I give the production a pass. So Garo, Beast of the Demon Knight, am I suggesting you watch it? Maybe. Look, if you watched the first season of Garo and thought, no thanks, not for me, this is definitely not going to change your mind. It feels like an extended version of one of the early episodes in the original series. The stakes feel a little higher, and you get the feeling that time has passed since we had said goodbye to the Garo cast. But this isn't going to revolutionize your opinion on the show. However, if you're like me, and watched the original Garo series, enjoyed it, and a year later think about coming back to it, it's the perfect refresher. Get reintroduced to Koga and Lee, even if it kind of feels like Lee is only there to make the cast complete, while getting an introduction to Tsubasa and Lin, who I assume will have a much bigger part in Garo Makai Senki, the second series of Garo. I really liked Jabi in the original series and felt bad that she died because I thought she was a good character. But I have to admit, having her die in the original series gave it a bit of weight. She was a good person who sacrificed herself, and her coming back to life through some Deus Ex Machina cheapens that payoff a little bit. Not enough that it will ruin the show for me, or make me resent her, but it's definitely worth noting. So if you're a fan of the Garo franchise, particularly one who's let some time pass between installments, Beast of the Demon Knight is a really good refresher to get you into the mood for more Garo. Speaking of Garo, I promise it won't be another year till we revisit the franchise and a new episode of Toku-Rev. Thank you everyone for watching, and happy Halloween. As always, if you have any suggestions for Toku-Rev episodes or want to share your experiences with Garo, please comment in the video or reach out on Twitter. And if you'd like this video, please like and subscribe for more Toku introductions.